Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am glad that you are here. And if this is your first time being here, welcome. My name is Christina Jolly, and this is Believe for Bigger. So, this week, what I wanted to talk to you about as we're about to end August, I can't believe that. It's like, wow, where has the time gone, right? So, we're ending August and we're about to enter September, right? And I kept um, like hearing these two words in my spirit: reset and refocus that leads to rest. Okay. So I want us to talk about that in this, as we're about to enter the fall season, right? September, there's just going to be a lot of activities. I know in my area, there's just like a lot of festivals and lots of things going on, right? We're about to enter a season that many may say busy. I don't really like to use that word busy. I really just, I don't know, I have a real problem with that word busy. When somebody says, well, how are you doing, Christina? I'm real busy. I don't know what busy in our culture right now, that's somewhat of a badge of honor. And so I'm really trying to be mindful and say that my schedule right now is full, right? And I want to talk to you today about that because for me personally, the fall season is a full season. And I was thinking about reset, the word reset, right? And how I really need to just reset and refocus how I'm actually going to look at the fall season. Because, like you may look at your calendar, or perhaps maybe this isn't a full season for you. Everybody's different, and I know we're all in very different seasons of life. But for me personally, and I know many people around me, the fall is full. There's lots going on. And as I was preparing for this, I was thinking to myself, I just like quickly wrote down, you know, uh, next weekend I have a nephew who is turning 7, who's really important to me, and he's having a birthday and he's having a party. And so I was already preparing, I'm ordering his cake. I ordered him, he's really big into WWE. And so I ordered him another wrestler. And I was also thinking about both of my parents have birthdays in the month of September. And but my grandkids also have birthdays in the fall, one in October and one in November. It's soccer season for my beautiful Ava, my little granddaughter. And normally on Saturdays, that's when they play, sometimes during the week, but normally it's on a Saturday. And then I thought about to celebrate. My husband and I are going to be married 6 years this coming October. And we normally take a trip. And so I planned the trip. My husband says, okay, well, we can go, where you'd like, different places. And I normally plan the trip. And I got to start thinking about that, right? So it's like, just like you, and some of you, you still have small kids at home. I'm an empty nester. All of my children are grown. But then we have the holiday season. We have, you know, Thanksgiving, which is by far my favorite holiday ever. I love Thanksgiving. I'll take Thanksgiving over Christmas any day. I love Thanksgiving. I love the food. I love the desserts. Don't get me started. I love Thanksgiving. And then we have Christmas, right? And so there's lots that's going on. And so we just have to, I just want to talk to you today about us just resetting and refocusing our upcoming season that we're about to have this fall season. And I thought about Matthew 6 and 33 because it really, truly all starts when we reset and we refocus. Our focus needs to be on the Lord. What is it that you have for me this fall season? And if we look at Matthew 6 and 33, it tells us, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all things will be given to you as well. The priority, no matter how full your season is going to be this fall, because we can get pulled in a lot of different directions, my friend. And, you know, living a so-called busy life is not the life that God has called you to live, um, regardless of what the world tells you. In other words, the world feeds us this culture that we are supposed to be doing this, be involved in this, helping over here. And I just really want you to take the time before this season starts of the fall. And I feel like there's going to be a shift there, right? Because it's a new season that we're about to enter. I want you to really seek God first before you say yes to any other commitments, before you commit your time, your energy, your focus. Lord, is this where you have me? Is this what you want me to be involved in this particular season? And then it would be a lot easier for you to kind of weed out once you go to God in prayer and journal and ask God, is this what you want me to be involved in for this particular season? Because we can be very accustomed to saying yes to all the things. And then it leads to burnout, exhaustion, not having peace. You're tired. You don't have energy. And my friends, that's not how we're supposed to live our life. We're not supposed to live our life from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And what I see right now in our culture, especially with us as women, we don't take the time for ourselves. We don't take the time to really just focus on what is it that God's telling me this season, because we're involved in this and that and this and that. And we're not taking the time for rest. We're not truly taking the time to retreat with the Lord. I love Matthew 11:28 in talking about rest, but I love it in the Message translation. To me, that's the best. So I'm going to read that one to you. It says, "Are you tired, worn out, and burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." That's Matthew 11:28 in the Message translation. So, my friends, when we look at the life of Jesus, Jesus did not live a hurried life. He had purposeful assignments. He had things that he did here on the earth. But there were many, many times, and I Googled it. It says that Jesus retreated alone, and it's documented in the Bible about 9 different times. In other words, he took the time away from everybody else to actually focus on his relationship with the Lord. He went away from the crowds. He went to a solitude place. He got quiet with God. And here in this particular Bible scripture, it says, "Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover life." My friends, what I'm seeing is a lot of women who are going from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and you're not allowing yourself rest. You're not allowing yourself to be focused on what is it that God's calling me to do in this season. You're too busy saying yes to all the things, but yet you're worn out. You're tired. You wonder why you have no energy. We, as women, we think we can do all the things. Somehow we've been fought that lie. We've been taught that lie that, yeah, we can do this, we can do that, And I want you to consider these 3 things when you are looking at this next season of your life. And I really feel like this is going to help you. Number one, I want you to be mindful of other people's expectations of you. Be mindful of what people are expecting of you. Are they expecting you to be on that committee? Is your family expecting you to do this because you've always done it? What are you expecting of yourself? Because when we put on those extra assignments that perhaps may no longer be in line with what God is calling you to do in this season, we put on that added pressure. And my friends, like I said, we're not supposed to live a life like that. So be mindful of the expectations that people put on you and realize that no is a complete sentence. Many of us have a problem with no. We can't just say no. We feel like we have to explain. And if you're like me, a recovering people pleaser, no is hard, especially when you've always said yes. So that leads me to boundaries that you have to put up. And you have to stick to whatever it is that God is calling you to do. Maybe perhaps you've always hosted a certain holiday at your house. And this year, it's just looking a little different. It's just not the same. And so you have to reevaluate, where am I in this season? Am I meant to like host, you know? And ask yourself and ask God to help you with that. My friends, God is in everything, in every detail of our life. I mean, everything that matters to you, it truly matters to God. So if something's of concern to you, you're not sure how to navigate a certain situation, maybe perhaps you've been asked to lead a committee in your community, you've been asked to do something at your local church, and you're just looking at your calendar and you're like, I don't know if I can fit this in. My season right now is full, but I don't want to let people down. But yet you won't say no for the fear of people not liking you, people not understanding, people misunderstanding you. And yet it leads to you being exhausted, tired, overwhelmed, burdened by the heavy load. And like it tells us in this Bible verse, learn the unforced rhythms of grace. God's word tells us He's not going to lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on us. There's nothing that He is going to put on us that's like we feel like we have this heavy load, right? My pastor did a whole series and he's been talking about forgiveness in the family. And one of the greatest illustrations that I think that he did was, when we carry extra loads, when we carry extra burdens, when we carry that unforgiveness, that resentment, that anger, he illustrated by having a backpack. And in the backpack, he was putting like rocks in the backpack. Sometimes it starts off with small things, right? Perhaps you're asked to serve on a committee at your child's school. I mean, that's something that you have to, prepare and get ready for. And then, somebody says, hey, I need for you to host this particular event. And it's something else comes into the backpack, right? And then, you're asked by your family to, I don't know, do something else. And it's like another rock, because he was putting these rocks in the backpack. And then after a while, you're carrying all this stuff, right? Like all these responsibilities, when in fact, God never told you to carry all that. If you would have just gotten quiet with the Lord, taken the time, taken that retreat, taking that solitude time, just like Jesus did, to reconnect with God and say, is this what you have for me in this season? Before you say yes. Because a lot of us, again, have that problem with that no. So number one is be mindful of other people's expectations of you. No is a complete sentence. Know within yourself your own boundaries, and then stay true to you. Like a lot of us, again, going back to being a former people pleaser, we want to please other people. I know that was me for the longest time. We want to say yes to all the things. And yet, are we getting out of alignment, keyword, of who we truly are, of how God has created us? Are we staying in alignment to the gifts and the callings on our life? And is this exactly what God has for us? I was talking to my granddaughter the other day, and my little Ava is 8, and she's now in third grade. And at her school, they have it's like it's a school that has a lot of emphasis on the arts, right? And I had seen on their Facebook page that there was like a dance club, and because she was now in third grade, she was able to join it. So I've already told you my Ava plays soccer, and she's pretty good at it. She's gotten way better, and I feel like really she sticks with it. This can really be her sport. And previously, she had told me about a running club at school. So on Sunday on our way to church, we're having conversation. By the way, she's 8, and this is an amazing time. I love her at this age because we have great conversations. And I said, "Hey, Ava," I said, "are you going to do the dance after all?" She said, "I don't think so." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I mean, you have soccer coming up." And she said, "Yeah, and I have running club." And she said, "My parents talked about it and they didn't think it was a good idea." And I said, "You know what? I kind of I agree with them." I said, "I think with the running club and with soccer, I think that that's plenty." She said, "Yeah, I think so too." Right. And so I just thought, oh, kudos to my daughter and my daughter's uh, partner, that they were able to like figure out, okay, this right now is not the best for Ava. Like she doesn't need to be in all the activities, right? And I know a lot of her friends are. And so I was just like, wow, that was pretty good to realize that. I mean, soccer takes time. She does have to practice. There are the games, um, and then also that running club. And so I feel like her, you know, schedule is going to be full, right? So I want you just to ask yourself these questions of, God, where do you have me? What's next for me in this season? Reevaluate, reset, refocus, get with God so you can truly know, is this the assignment He has for me in this next season? And then fully rest in Him. Rest. Rest for your soul. Rest for your spirit, my friends. Because what ends up happening is when we're running from one thing to another thing and to another thing, and I'm going to end here, it's hard for us to walk in the spirit of the fruit of the Spirit, which, let me remind you, in Galatians 5:22, it says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I like one version because it says of us like self-control and also sound mind, right? So when we are walking in the fruit of the Spirit, where we're not overwhelmed, when we're not overburdened by all the responsibilities, my friends, therefore, we are able to live in peace, be more joyful, right? Have better relationships with people. Just we're not like burdened down. And the world wants us to think that, what is it that you're doing next? You know? And I've had to personally do that inventory in my own life. Christina, what are you going to focus on in this season? And it doesn't have to be a whole lot of stuff. So, my friends, I really hope that this blessed you. For some reason, those words were just in my spirit: the reset, the refocus, and the rest. Because again, we're about to enter a season where lots of things are going to be happening. It's a time of, lots of activities for the fall. And I don't want you to get caught up in not truly getting with God, seeking God first, and saying, Lord, what is it that we're doing in this next season? What assignment do you have for me? What do you want me to be committed to? Where do you need me? I hope this blessed you. So, my friends, let me know what you think. I hope you have a blessed week. Know that God is good and greater. It's coming, my friend. God bless you.